by the Sea podcast. My name is Lisa. I am Saratoga Knitting on Instagram and on Ravelry, and I welcome you to my home. I live here in Marblehead, Massachusetts, which is just about 20 miles north of Boston, and it is a small harbor town. I live right up from the harbor here, and I live in a very old house. I'm lucky enough to live in a very old house. This particular house we're in was built as a warehouse back in 1750, and then it was converted into a residence in the 1800s. So, welcome, and today we are going to do a few things. I'll talk about my finished objects, which I have a few since it's been a while, and my works in progress, and then we'll catch up with some chatter and pictures at the end. So let's get started. Finished objects. I have quite a few. It's been a while. I don't think I've recorded in several months, maybe back in April. And, it's because, COVID. But I have been working quite a bit. My first finished object, of course, is what I'm wearing. I'm really excited about this. I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but I think it's Koinique. And it is by Kate Davis, and it was originally supposed to be or it's designed to be a cardigan. So it would be knit in the round and then steeked and with a button band up the front. I am not really a cardigan person. I don't wear a lot of cardigans, so when I look at a cardigan, I'm like, well, maybe I would do it that way, maybe not. But I had a lot of encouragement from some knitting friends to try to go ahead and just convert this into a pullover, which I love. I think my most favorite sweater is a pullover with a yoked color work, and I really love this. I love the way it came out. The fit is great. I actually used, if you remember, I used up a lot of this lovely cone of Jamieson and Smith that I got. Is Jamieson and Smith jumper weight, and I got this from the Woolly Thistle in New Hampshire. And it's been fantastic. So there was enough on this cone to do this entire sweater, which I thought that there would be. I'd never worked from a cone before, and it's really delightful. You obviously spend a little bit more for a cone at the beginning, but you can get several projects out of it. So it was a really fun experiment. I would definitely do this again. In fact, I'm probably going to order another one of these when they come back in stock at the Woolly Thistle. So. Yeah, this was really fun to knit with, and it really blooms when it's washed. It's it's a cone, so it's going to have some of the spinning oil still on it because it's coming straight from the factory this way, but once you wash it, it really just blooms right out beautifully. So this is a color work. It started from the bottom up, if I remember correctly, and it has stand up a little bit. It has a bottom with the color work, so you get a little bit of fun to start with, and then you move right into the stockinette body. This one did not have any waist shaping or anything, which I love, so it's just straight up stockinette, and then you begin you cast off and cast on some stitches here for the underarms, and then you get to work on the color work. The color work I used leftover Ralma yarn that I have had just kind of sitting in for other projects, sitting in my stash, so I was able to use that, and I'm really very pleased with the way this came out. And then once you're done with that, you do the sleeves, and we have we have a little bit of edging as well along the sleeves with the same colors that are in the yoke and in the bottom. I'm very happy with this. It took a while to knit because it's a fingering weight sweater, of course, but it came out beautifully. I love it. It fits me. It's so comfortable, and I'm going to be wearing this the whole time. Everybody at work, it's one of these sweaters. They're going to start seeing sweaters now that it's turned into sweater weather, and yeah, they're going to see a sweater on me virtually every single day. So I'm really very pleased with this. It's beautiful it's really beautiful as a cardigan as well, but I just prefer the pullover. So very pleased with this. My second finished object. So it's been a while. I've done two sweaters. My second object. I'm going to pull it out here. See if I don't drop everything, which I may. So my second sweater is called The Bright Note, and this is by Janine McCarty, and it is a drop shoulder sweater. It's really big. It's supposed to be oversized, which is great. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes for this. It's a beautiful charcoal kind of charcoaly gray color. And this sweater, again, started from the top, and you work your way down. And it has some really pretty, just some really basic color work here at the end. And these little star stitches are really fun to knit once you figure them out. What I did is I did this actually, I've done this twice, because I started out using a yarn that that changed color. So it changed color, but the dark parts of the yarn were too close to this color, so the contrast wasn't good enough. So I ended up ripping this back and choosing another skein of yarn that I had in my stash, and this one really pops because it's really basically all yellows and golds, and so it really, you don't have to do anything to change the color. You just go ahead and knit along. So that's all the way on the bottom, and then it is also on the sleeves as well. So this was really pretty. Again, and these both were easy knits, except for, of course, for the color work, but basically most of the time you spend doing stockinette, so it's perfect Netflix binging knitting, but really pretty. I'm looking forward to wearing this. I didn't put this one on because today I would be too hot if I had this one on, but yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and it came out great. So again, this is the Bright Note by Janine McCarty. Then, I did 2 projects since I've been gone for Sarah Bauer, for Sarah Pomegranate. The second one that I actually did, I just recently finished, and this is she is putting together a Women Who Run with Wolves collection. So I think there's either 2 or 3 more projects that'll be coming out from Sarah. But I've been able to test, and I've test knit for her before, so I offered to test knit, and I'm really happy that I did. This is called the Deep in the Forest Cowl, and it is just gorgeous. You can see it close up. She has 2 versions of this. One version is fingering weight, and one version is a DK weight, I believe, or worsted. I mean, you really could knit this in any weight that you wanted to, but it is really beautiful. It's meant to be striped. And there's a beautiful little motif here. You can see it in the white. And that's a mushroom. Super cute. Super cute. Now, I test knit this, so the whole point of when you're test knitter is to actually follow the pattern along. I love to knit charts, so I use the chart version of this because I always knit from Knit Companion. I know lots of people just like to print out their patterns. I have really moved away from printing out patterns and just use the Knit Companion app on my phone or on my iPad, and I find it really convenient. You can download patterns that you purchased in Ravelry. Really, any downloaded PDF that you have available to you, you can download into this program, and then you can use it. You have counters, you have markers on your lines. It's really a very convenient app to use for me anyway. I really like it. So this was perfect. So I tested this with the charts and also on the Knit Companion because Sarah likes to know if it actually works well within any knitting software that folks might want to use. So it's really beautiful. Now this one, as I said, I was a test knitter, so I needed to follow the pattern. But as you can see, the pattern repeats 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 repeats of the mushroom chart. So you're just doing the same thing over again. So what I thought I would do, if you can see this, you can see that these are knit stitches and they're on a pearl background, which is great because it makes the knit stitches really pop right out. So you can actually really see that it's a mushroom motif. Now for me, I don't mind purling, but there's a lot of purling, and sometimes I have a little bit of arthritis in my wrists and my fingers, so sometimes the purling kind of gets my hands a little bit achy. So what I did on this, and again, this is just another little tip that you can really do, I followed the chart, but I flipped the knitting inside out. So what I did for a couple of these repeats was flip it inside out, and I knit the background stitches, and I purled the mushroom motif stitches. And it works perfectly fine because when you turn it over, the back of a purl stitch is a knit stitch. So there it is right there. And that actually helped me get through it with less pain in my hands, and for me it was faster. Probably for most people, I think probably producing a knit stitch is faster than producing a purl stitch. I love to do purl stitches. I really don't mind, but I just found myself kind of getting a little bit sore. But this is a great way to solve that problem. You just flip it over and again, just knit the purl stitches and purl the knit stitches based on a chart or on the written one, and you're going to get the exact same pattern that you would if you knit it on the right side of the fabric. So just another tip. You probably need to think about it the first time that you do it. It's not intuitive, but you have to do the opposite of what is in the chart for what it tells you to do in each of the boxes. So you have to think about it. But once you do, you kind of get that rhythm and can do it. And yeah, it's not something I do all the time, but I wanted to do that because I just was feeling a little bit of grumpiness in my hands from the purl stitches. But it is a beautiful, beautiful cowl, and I will be wearing this all winter. Once again, all my workmates will be seeing this on me as well as the winter progresses, because it's just beautiful. I think I used Roma on this as well that I had left over from a hat that I had made recently. So yeah, really, really beautiful. And the pattern is available now on Ravelry. So that is really, really beautiful. Very, very happy with that. The second pattern that I also test knit for her in this collection is called the Taking Back the River sock. And this is beautiful. I really, really like these. Let me show you the sock. They mirror each other, so this river pattern goes along the outside of each leg. Here it is on the other one. You can see it there. But just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. These were toe up. I'm trying to remember. Yes, they were toe up socks, and just so gorgeous. And has a slip stitch heel in it, and Sarah always includes a little the option to do some little ribbing on your instep to kind of pull the sock in, so that's lovely too. These just came out beautifully, and they are so elegant, and I'm very, very pleased with these. And now they can come off the sock blocker since I've showed them to you, and it's now sock season, officially sock season. I haven't quite started it yet, but I think this week the sock drawer is going to be opened up. I'm going to start using what I have. Let's see. Another one. This is really beautiful as well. So this is a cowl, and this is called Arochar, and it's by Meg Gadsby. Meg is an Australian designer. I really like her. I really like her aesthetic. She does a lot of like cowls and shawls and things. And I've made her patterns. I've knit her patterns before, and I'm always happy with them. And they're always fairly easy, but have some kind of a little kind of interesting pop, whether it's texture or color, or a combination of both. And this is actually yarn that I kind of took from Sophia's stash. She actually, these are two colors of Madeline Tosh, and she had them for a long time. I think she was making a brioche cowl out of them, and we were kind of going through her room and cleaning things up, and she's like, "Here, Mom, I'm not really knitting right now, so if you want to finish this." And I was like, "All right, let me take it." She couldn't quite remember the pattern she was using, so I had to kind of look around, and I did. I found what I thought was a good pattern for it, or a continuation of what she was doing, because it was two color brioche. And I worked on it for a while, and I would pick it up. This yarn it's beautiful. The colors are gorgeous, and it's so soft. It's just really super beautiful. It's not quite it's coming out mostly blue, but there's lots of green in it. There's a contrast of color of green there. You can kind of see that there. And I just wasn't happy with the way I was knitting the brioche. So I ripped them out. There's two balls, and then I tried another brioche pattern for a cowl, and I wasn't happy with that. And then I tried another pattern for a cowl, which wasn't a brioche, but it maybe was it was kind of a mock brioche pattern, and I didn't do that very well either. And it's all user error, totally my error. and I know this about myself. I really don't enjoy brioche knitting, and I know some people love it. It is like potato chip for many people. It is not for me. I don't know. I've tried it so many times, and when I get to that point, then it becomes like I just don't. There's no reason for me to continue to try to do something just because I think I should do it. If it's not really bringing me joy, especially during these times, it's just not something I need to do. Now maybe I'll come back to brioche at some point, a 2-color brioche. I have a brioche pattern for socks that I really love. They're 1 color and it's a brioche pattern, and that's perfect. And I just, somewhere in my brain, the 2-color brioche just doesn't work for me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm old enough, I can admit that about myself. So I think brioche knitting is off the table for me. So this is I had these gorgeous balls like mocking me, sitting in a bag mocking me. And so I finally said I need to find a pattern to use this. And Meg came out with this pattern fairly recently, I think probably within a couple of months or so. And I thought that's perfect. It's 2-color, it's not brioche, but it's just going to be really gorgeous. And so I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. So I did. I used up both of the balls of yarn. You can see what the inside looks like because it's just a pattern yarn. It looks kind of cool from the inside as well. But I felt, that gave me I felt a sense of accomplishment that I actually had used the yarn, this gorgeous yarn, and I had made a project that I really enjoy and that I will wear. And probably Sophia, she might take this back because she'll say this is her yarn, so she might take it back and use it. But and these colors would look really nice on her actually with her red hair. But I'm very, very pleased. It's a lovely pattern, easy to knit, and you just come out with this really gorgeous, elegant cowl to wear for the winter. So very happy with that. What else did I do? I have some, let me remove the sock blockers here. I'm going to put on another pair of socks. At some point during the break, over the time period of the pandemic, I had a message from a lovely person, and she mentioned to me that she had lots of sock yarn, and she really isn't knitting socks anymore, and she knew I knitted socks and would I like that sock yarn. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be wonderful, thank you so much, expecting just a couple of balls of sock yarn to show up. No, I had 2 bags. Unbelievably generous. It was so wonderful, and they're all different, and they're going to be beautiful socks. I'm going to use them for other things as well, but let me just put these both on the sock. This is basically some Regia yarn, and this is great because I actually don't have a lot of kind of, I would call Regia kind of a workhorse sock yarn, because you can use it and you can abuse it and wear these every day, and they're going to be great for years and years and years. Whereas sometimes you use some really beautiful independently dyed, indie dyed sock yarn, and they're gorgeous, but sometimes for me, I tend to wear them all the time, and so they tend to wear through. So I really appreciate regular sock yarn, and these are them. So this is a Regia self-striping sock yarn. This is my normal sock pattern. I usually do a toe-up sock, and then with the fish lips kiss heel, and then go on up. And what I usually do is make the leg of the sock match the toe of the sock, and that fits my leg and my foot really, really well, so it's very symmetrical, and it makes it easy to know where to stop because you can just fold it over and go, oh yeah, I need to do a little bit more. But when I am doing the leg, I go right up to I can just fold it over and see where the toe starts, and that's where I start my ribbing for to finish off the leg of the sock. So it's very convenient for me, especially when I'm commuting, which I'm not doing right now, but when I will be going back to that. So when I'm on the bus or on the T commuting, it's an easy way for me to kind of not have to worry about specific measurements on a sock. But I have 2 of these done. This is really just a very, very simple slip stitch pattern. I usually knit socks that are 64 inches, so I basically did, I knit 2, slip 1, knit 2, slip 1, knit 2, slip 1, and then on the next row just knit around. So every other row you're slipping one of the stitches, and so it really just creates these nice lines going up. Again, it's not anything that's written down. It's just something fun to do. I like to maybe do a little something like that when I have self-striping yarn, because if you put too much of a pattern in it, you're gonna that pattern would get lost within the self-striping colors, because it's kind of the color that you're looking for here. But just doing maybe a little slip stitch or a row, a row of pearls in there once in a while just kind of gives you, or gives me some interest. I would tend to get bored if I'm just doing a plain sock, so I'm just knitting all the way. So I like to have a little bit of something, but nothing too extravagant on a self-striping sock. And then that's great. And these again, these will be coming out probably this week as well. I'm really super happy with those. Then I also had the opportunity to do another test knit sock as well. And these socks are called the Old Shale socks, and they are by Amanda Clark, who is a Wee Shutter Monkey on Ravelry and on Instagram. And I have followed Amanda for a long time, like pre-Instagram times. I think she might have had a blog way back when, and so I've been following her. I've done a couple of her patterns. She's done some shawls and some hats, and I know I've done at least 2 of her shawls, if not one of her hats as well. And she just came out and she started a podcast once again. She's also a really fabulous sewist, so she does a lot of quilting, and amazing. That sewing, quilting, that really just boggles my mind. I can knit up. I can knit up a heck of a sweater, a heck of a sock, but sewing and kind of getting my head around that just amazes me. So the pattern that she has is called the Old Shale socks, and they're really beautiful. So she's just using the Old Shale pattern, which is just an old lace pattern. I can show you. Oop. Oh, nope. I put that on the wrong way. This is how long it's been since I've done this. But let's take a look. So these are super pretty. So these are top down. Again, I'm not usually I don't knit top down, so but every now and again, and I really like these, and these are pretty. She put out a call for test knitters. I was like, I'm going to test knit this. I also knit these from a sock blank, so that was really super fun too. I've never knit from a sock blank before, so that was super fun. And I just knit one at a time. I know there are people that knit sock blanks and they knit them 2 at a time, but I'm not a big 2 at a time sock knitter, so. I just knit from one strand and then rolled up the second strand ready for the second sock, so that worked out really well. But anyway, these are top down, and they have this beautiful Old Shale pattern on them. You can see, I'm going to just push it around. You can see a little bit more of the beautiful patterning there. It's really lovely. It's a very easy pattern to memorize, and it's just beautiful and very, very elegant. I think very, very elegant. She has a slip stitch heel here. And then it goes down to the toe. It's really beautiful. I really liked it. So I test knit this for her. So I finished the test knit on one, and then I wanted to do an experiment. So I took the pattern once again. As I always say, as long as the pattern that you're going to use on your foot or on your leg, you can do your sock any way that feels comfortable for you. So what I basically did was took the pattern and I flipped it around, and I knit the second sock toe up. Put that on here. I can show you that too. There we go. So this one I knit toe up. So I started here and then went up. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and then I just continued with that pattern on up, and then I did the ribbing as well from the second ball of the sock blank. So that worked out really, really well. So I was actually very pleased with this, and you know what happened, and I wasn't really planning on this, but what happened was, because I knit the first one top down, so I ended up, the sock blank went from this lighter color and then down to more colors at the bottom as I got further into it. But because I was wrapping it up at the same time, the second piece of it, and just knitting from one strand. A sock blank has 2 strands together, and then the dyer will dye that yarn, so you don't know how it's going to look when it comes done. But because I had done one top down and one toe up, basically what I did was, this one I started at the beginning of the sock blank and ended up at the end of the sock blank. But because of the way I knit this one, I started at the end of the sock blank and knit back up to the top of the sock blank because of the way that the yarn was rolled up. So now, even though I did them two different ways, normally, you know, you would have, if I had done this sock again, just continuing on, what would have happened would have been that if I started using this ball of yarn for another top-down sock, the top piece would have been this dark color. But now I actually have two pairs of socks that have the darker color at the toe and the lighter color at the top, because one I did top down and one I did toe up. So I thought that was fun. I had not planned on that, but I was like, "Oh, look at that! That looks really nice." And again, you know, in your shoes, no one will know that one is top down and one is toe up, because really what you're going to see is the cuff. If anybody's really looking at your socks, but I just thought that was really kind of a cool little thing that happened there. Let's see. Oh, and my final finished object, which is really amazing to me, absolutely 100% amazing. Let me get that down here. Grab the bag. I have been participating in Patricia of Knitography, her Selbu mitten course, and it has been so much fun. So basically what she did is she set up a Selbu mitten course, and it's a 5-week course, and so each week you do a different piece of the mitten. So we started with the cuff, and then we moved on to the hand and the back, and then we moved on to the thumb, which is the most difficult part, and then we've moved on now to blocking and making sure everything looks really good. And it was such a fun course. If you ever get a chance to do it with her, it's great. It's virtual, of course, so they're videos, and the videos are available to you for as long as she has her blog, her virtual classroom. And I think she's doing a Selbu sock class coming up now, and then I think she'll be doing some other classes as the winter progresses. But really reasonable in price, and the value is amazing, especially for someone like me. I have tried to knit mittens before, and I haven't been a big fan of knitting mittens. I haven't been a big fan of knitting mittens on fingering weight yarn. And so what I tend to do is, like, I get all enthusiastic about it. I'm like, I'm going to start this. I really like this pattern. I'm going to start it. And then it just kind of drops off, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is really too fiddly for me. So this is the first time I've actually completed a mitten, a colorwork mitten with fingering weight yarn, and I'm very proud of myself. So we'll see if I continue on doing them, but I'm actually very proud, and I perhaps may give these to my mother-in-law as a Christmas gift, because these are really her colors. I used the starcropfiber.com Nash Island Tide yarn, and I bought this at Rhinebeck last year's Rhinebeck. So, and I got four skeins of it, 2 kind of off-white and 2 this lovely bluish gray color, and I've only used 2 for these mittens, so I still have 2 left. I'm not sure what I will do with them. Maybe I'll make another pair of mittens. We will see. But this has been really lovely to work with. So here is, I have 2 mittens done, but I'll just show you one. So this is the first mitten. It's really beautiful. This pattern is called Nordic Winter, and it's by Nordic Stitches Designs. Lily isn't designing anymore, but she still has patterns available on Ravelry, and that's where I was able to get this. Because Patricia wanted us to really find a traditional Selbu mitten pattern, and this is what this is. So it's started cuff up, and then you move into the back, into the hand. And the wonderful thing about this is that you have 2 different charts to follow, because you have the chart for the back of the hand and you have the chart for the palm of the hand, and the 2 are very different. This and this. And the other beauty of these is that you have these edge stitches right here, and they run all the way up, all the way over the top, and then all the way back down again. And they really give your mittens some really 3-dimensional functionality, so they really are going to sit well. These are not blocked yet, so they still look a little bit crunchy, but they will, all the stitches will even out when I block them, maybe later today. And then you also have the thumb, and the pattern for the thumb continues on from the outside and the inside as well. So now what I have to do is block them. I just have it on the Patricia's mitten blockers, which, see, because I've had mittens, I've had these for years, and I've never blocked anything on them because I haven't finished a pair of mittens. So Patricia, finally, I'm going to use these, and I'm going to block the mittens on them. Really just wonderful. They're going to be really, really beautiful. I have to weave some ends on it on the inside, but they're just beautiful, super, super warm. And my mother-in-law loves to go, she loves to go skiing in the winter. She goes cross-country skiing. She doesn't downhill ski anymore, but she goes cross-country skiing, and she just loves it. And these would be perfect for her, and they would be perfect for her color. So I think, depending upon how they look when they come out of blocking, which I think they will be fine, I'm anticipating giving them to her for Christmas. And it's actually my husband's idea. He's like, you know, who'd like those mittens would be my mother. I was like, ooh, that's an excellent, excellent idea. So I had a great time. My sister-in-law Tracy took the class as well. The other piece that the Patricia does in the class is that she has a weekly Zoom session. So if you have problems or questions or just need some encouragement, you can log on to the Zoom sessions. I think she would have those on Wednesdays. She had them a couple different times that worked better for folks in Europe, and then times that worked better for us here in the States. And I did not take advantage of that. They were just kind of during my work time, and I could figure out what I was doing based on her videos, which was good. I've had enough experience knitting, but I just have never pushed through and done and finished it. So they are really beautiful. I'm so happy that I did it. And go ahead and look on her, look up Knitography before Chen, and she's going to be having some additional classes, and go for it, because it was really fun. It was a really great format, and it was very, very much worth the investment in time and in money. It was really great. I have a few. I usually try to keep to 3 works in progress. It just kind of does it for me. I like to just have 3 projects, usually one sweater on the go and then 2 other ones to do. I may have a few more this time, but really why is because during the pandemic I'm working virtually, and I am actually working at my mother-in-law's house. Mark is home now, so he has his office space where he's working, and Sophia is working upstairs in her office space. And just to have 3 of us here, and it's always good for me to be at his in-laws just in case they have any questions. They both have new cell phones, and they need some help with those, so it's convenient for me to be over there. Plus I'm out, I feel like I'm going to an office space. So I do have a couple of projects that I just leave there, and that in between things or during lunch I have an opportunity to work on some things there. So I have a few more than 3, but that's really why. The first one that I'm working on is my second sweater. Reach down here and pull it up. And for this sweater, this is called the Kufel, and it's also by Kate Davis. And this is actually meant to be just a colorwork pullover. Really, I'm just finding that I'm really enjoying colorwork pullovers right now. And so I'm going for it. If that's what I like, I'm going for it. I'm actually going to use the rest of this cone of yarn. And I think I had said in the earlier part, I need to order another one. I don't think this will quite get me through another sweater. Yeah, I just don't think it will quite do it, and they're actually out of stock right now, so I'm hoping that they get that back in, but this gives me quite a bit to go on right now. And it's another colorwork sweater, just a different colorwork palette on this one. They're really pretty colors. I just started this maybe last week, so you can see here, so it's the same color, the same yarn as this sweater, but the colorwork palette is very, very different. It's very bright, so we've got these bright blue and red and yellow and green colors, which I think are going to be really, really pretty on this gray background. It will look very familiar to this. It's just a different pattern and a different color palette, and I'm really happy with it. I did the fun part, the beginning at the bottom here with the color work, and Now I'm on to just the stockinette body, and again, there's no shaping, so you just go right up to where the armholes are, and then leave the space for the armholes and continue on with the top part, and then do the arms from there. So it really is, it's just an easy, easy sweater for me, but this part is easy, just doing the stockinette, so I'm really pleased. I will keep you posted on this. The color yarn, the colorwork yarn that I'm using this time around is from Knit Picks. They're really glorious, beautiful colors that I got. So you can see them here, and there's more in the bag. There's 2 more. So I'm going to be using, this is Knit Picks palette. And again, Knit Picks is a United States company, which is really just has some very affordable kind of workhorse yarns. So I like to use them when I have to maybe purchase quite a bit of yarn for something. The second pattern that I am working on is called Destination Unknown, and it is by Cheryl Faust, and it's really pretty. I'm really excited about this one. I had plans to make another shawl, and it was a beautiful shawl. I won't even say which one it was or who it was by. It was really gorgeous, but it was 2-color brioche, and it was a 2-color brioche with a twist, and it looked gorgeous, and I was like, I really want to make this. I bought the pattern, and I figured out what yarn I was going to use, and I sat down to do it, and it just was not bringing me joy. It really was not bringing me joy. I was just kind of, I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy doing it. I had to pay a lot of attention to it, and I just found myself putting it down, and and again, like I say, I'm too old to bother with doing something like that unless I'm really into it. So I just ripped it out. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find another pattern to use, and this is the one I have chosen. I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure how I would like it, but it turned out it's right up my alley. So I have Knit Picks palette again. This is a black color, and then I have this really gorgeous Spun Right Round purple yarn, which I think Spun Right Round. I'm pretty sure that I actually purchased this over in Salem at Circle Stitches. So, but it's really beautiful sock yarn, and I really wanted to make something special with it. So I've had it waiting for me for a while. And the Destination Unknown, I think if I can, I'll put a picture. If I remember how to do it, I'll put a picture up here of what the actual pattern looks like. But it's really gorgeous, and it's mosaic knitting. And I haven't done mosaic knitting in a really long time, if I've ever done it before. I know what it was. I knew what it was, but I just haven't done it in quite some time. And it basically is 2-color knitting, but you're slipping one of the colors the entire way. So you really knit each row twice, but it comes out really pretty, and it looks amazingly intricate. And it really isn't. You're working with a chart, so I mean, I don't want to downplay that. You are working with several charts. You start out with one chart, and then you move to another chart as the piece gets bigger. But if you're comfortable with charts, and you are comfortable with making the increases on the end, you're just basically doing a repeat of certain stitches all the way across, and you may need to add an extra repeat as you get down to each end. And if you're comfortable doing that, this is beautiful. It's a really beautiful pattern, and I'll put a picture up here because you can't really see how beautiful this is going to be. But it starts here, and it gets bigger on each end, and it's kind of knit in a triangle, and you have a spine of stitches. Let's see if you can see that. So there's a spine of stitches right down the middle, which also helps you to know where you are. So you always know where your middle stitches are. There you can see it right there. So you can see the pattern that's emerging with the black and then the purple stitches, and it's going to be striking, I think, at the end when I'm done with it. I'm really happy with it. And the particular chart that I'm working on right now, I think, is 8 rows, so it doesn't take that. I mean, it's taking longer every time because it's getting bigger each time now, but really it doesn't take that long to do. And the repeat, there's a repeat of, I think, maybe 8 stitches on each of those rows, so you can see where your repeats are, and you're just doing those, repeating those 8 rows. And really, it's nice because on one row you're slipping the black stitches, and on the other row you're slipping the purple stitches. So you're only knitting half of the stitches since you're knitting only one yarn at a time. So you knit across and then you go back to the opposite side and come back across, and then you're able to pick up your second yarn, knit across and come back and pick up your second yarn. So it's really an interesting way to do it, and it is really pretty, and I am very much enjoying this pattern, and I think it was the right choice for me. It was the right choice for the yarn. It's going to be really beautiful and soft. It's just, whew, this is going to be very, very lovely around my neck for my for my virtual workmates to see once again when I get this finished. But I'm really pleased with this. So that was called The Destination Unknown, and it is by Cheryl Faust. And the picture, if I can put it up, remember how to do that, if I can put it up here, the picture on Ravelry is really dramatic because she uses black and I don't even remember the color, the contrast color, but it's just gorgeous, and that's what really drew me to that pattern. Forgot these. The next pattern that I want to show you is called the Earl Socks, and they're by Mary Lucas, who is Pearl Kitty. And she has done usually does a sock club each year. And last year she did the Mary Queen of Socks sock club, and this year she's doing the Queen Gloriana sock club. And when you purchase the sock club, you get, I want to say, between, I think, around 6 patterns actually, and they come out every other month, so it's really great. So you have six patterns by the end of the year. And once again, I'm knitting it out of Happy Feet from Plymouth Yarn Co. So that's Happy Feet. Oh, is that backwards? Happy Feet from the Plymouth Yarn Co. And it's this beautiful, beautiful color. And these are a really, again, charted socks, and they're toe up, but I've only gotten through 2 repeats, so I don't even have to put it on the sock blocker, but you see that? So there's just really a pattern made with the purl stitches, and it is beautiful. These, again, are going to be very, very elegant socks to wear. The sock yarn is beautiful. This was in my amazing gift of sock yarn. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with these. They're super pretty. And the Happy Feet sock yarn, I don't know that I've ever knit with it before, but the stitches, it's very rounded sock yarn, so the stitches lay very, very flat, and they're very, very beautiful. So I think these are going to be very, very nice. They're knitting up really quickly. So these are socks that they're my lunchtime knitting over at my mother-in-law's. So I'm really super happy with those. I always have to have a pair of socks on the go, especially now that it's getting colder. So I'm very, very pleased with those, and I actually have them in a lovely little Halloween themed bag here that I got as a gift a while back. Love this bag. And let's see. Oh yes, so I have 2 more to show you, and I just want to. I have done a little bit of spinning. I haven't done a lot. I need to get back to it. I have some really beautiful purple yarn, deep dark purple yarn that's on the bobbin right now. It's on the wheel right now, and I'm working through that. And then I purchased a gorgeous, gorgeous bag of natural colored fiber from Foster Sheep Farm, and I bought quite a bit of that. So what I'm hoping to do is to spin enough for a sweater. It's very similar to this color. So you'll probably see another sweater in this color in my future at some point. But what I have been doing, where's the bag? Excuse me for my reaching down here once again. I am a Patreon of Caroline and Knut and the Nutiden yarn that they are making in Sweden. And you've seen this before, but it is just gorgeous. It is unspun yarn, so again, you have to be careful knitting with it, but it is most gorgeous. It is just gorgeous. It comes in these beautiful cakes like this. Can you see this? And again, it's unspun, so it is delicate. And I have 2 I got in her last update, and this color here as well. And it's just so beautiful. And I didn't know kind of what to do with this. And I just kind of put it aside. I got it, I fondled it, I put it aside, and I I'm like, I don't really know. I don't have enough for a sweater here, but I didn't have a sweater that was kind of rustic enough to use this as accent yarn. So I wanted to do something else. Now I subscribe to Meg Swanson, Elizabeth Zimmerman's Wool Gatherings. Anybody else does this? You can get this, I think it comes out quarterly from the Schoolhouse Press. And it's really great. Each time it has information. It has lots of messages from from Megan here, and she usually does an article, and she usually will do some type of a tutorial in article form, and then they also show the different things that they have in their shop available for purchase, which is great too. But each time it comes with a pattern, one pattern. I don't always make the pattern, but I remembered once I got this, I was like, well, wait a minute, let me look at this pattern. Now I'm just doing something plain. This comes in, you can do whatever you want. There's information for charts. There's just information for different ways to do this, but basically it makes a scarf that you can put around. You can make it as long as you want, as short as you want, etc. So I decided that's what I was going to do, and it's almost like knitting a big sock because it's basically a tube. And so what I have done so far is here, and I'm knitting with 2 strands together, and that makes it even stronger. So I started out with one strand of this gorgeous red and then the purple color together as the start of it. And I basically did a large toe. It's really what you're doing. It's made a large toe. And then I switched over to using two strands, one of each of these. And so, it's just a big tube. So I'm knitting around and around and around. So basically, I don't want to pull this, but it's easy. If you do pull it, you just start knitting with it again. So basically what will end up happening is that I'm just going to make it as long as I can with this, and then it will just wrap around, and then you could stop it and do the second toe at the end, put a button on it. You could just keep it going and let it wrap around your neck. So I'm just going to kind of go with it and see how much I get, but it is really beautiful. It is going to be super, super warm. It's really strong. Everybody always asks me, does that really work when it's just it's so delicate when when you get it, when you try to knit with it, but it really isn't. Once it's knitted up into fabric, there is nothing that's going to happen with this whatsoever, and I am just tickled with this. I think it's going to be beautiful and fun and something completely different, and it's one of those times when the yarn and the pattern just kind of magically come together, and I'm really pleased with this. So this is another one that I actually usually just leave over at my mother-in-law's house. I don't like to travel with it too much because it is delicate, but at the same time it's really, it's just knitting around and around. So this is easy to do if I'm on a conference call or I have to, watch a video for something or a training session. So I've been leaving it there. I did bring it back here to show everyone today, but I have basically just been leaving it there. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to switch back and I will knit the 2 colors here with that beautiful purple accent in there again. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm really glad. It's just such a nice, it's very serendipitous when it comes together and you figure out exactly what you're going to do. Then the last thing that I'll show you today is another Bits and Bobs. The Bits and Bobs blanket by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears is a really wonderful way to use up lots and lots of minis that you might have. And I think Kay knits two strings of fingering weight yarn basically is what you do with the Bits and Bobs blanket. In Kay's version, she uses one background color and then she just adds in different minis as she goes along. The one that I did, I just chose 2 minis. So I just randomly chose 2 minis because I had so many left over from different Advent swaps. And it's really great. It's a lovely ribbed sweater, and blanket, and it's really beautiful. You're basically doing the same row each time you turn it. You just have to do like two knit stitches on one side, 1 knit stitch on the other side. And it just comes out with this beautiful, beautiful squishy texture, which is really lovely. And I wanted to cast on another one, and I completed some hand spun a while back. So this is hand spun, and it's super beautiful, super soft. And I tried a couple of things with it, and I wasn't sure what I was doing wasn't really coming out the way I wanted it to, and I was like, well, let me just put that aside. And then I thought about it a couple of days ago, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can start another Bits and Bobs, because the Bits and Bobs blanket is really also a really great kind of potato chip kind of knitting, and it's perfect for if you just want to pick something up and knit, and you might be a little bit tired, or you're watching TV and you don't want to pay attention to a pattern, because you just have to look at this pattern once you get going with it, and you know exactly what your next stitch is going to be. And it's knitting all the way across. It's just that you're knitting in a stitch below on a couple of places. So I really enjoy it, and I thought I would try it. And again, what I am doing is I am combining my hand spun with a skein of sock yarn from my lovely bag of sock yarn, gift of sock yarn. And I just thought that this, when I was looking at it, I was like, wow, let me see what I have. And these just matched up like perfectly. The colors are perfect. And you really don't really see the difference either. It just looks like all like one yarn when you're doing it. Now, I don't know if I actually will have enough to make a blanket out of this, but I really enjoy doing the pattern. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to knit until I'm done with it. And if I don't have enough for a small lap blanket, or even maybe a baby blanket, I would simply take it and Kitchener stitch it together, and it'll be a really big wide cowl that I'll be able to wrap around a bunch of times around my neck. So I'm really just going to kind of play with it. I just enjoy working with the texture of this. I enjoy doing the stitch, and so whatever comes out of it, I'm going to be really happy with, and I will keep you posted. And we'll see how it turns out, or what it turns into at the end when I get it done. So, and I think that's it. I think that's all the works in progress that I have. So let's. What has been happening? Well, COVID-19 has been the biggest thing that has been happening for everyone in the world, of course. And it's been tough. It's been tough. Now, my family is perfectly fine. We have not been sick at all. I have one of the folks that I work with, she lives in Colorado, and she actually got sick with COVID, and her husband and her little son also got it. They were basically asymptomatic. She was not. She was really pretty bad. Now, she never went to the hospital. She's young, in her 30s, and but she had a hard time with it, and she's still having a bit of a hard time. She still has experiencing some symptoms from it. So really, I anticipate if anyone in the world, you know someone that's been affected by it one way or another. We are very lucky. If you remember the last time Mark actually had gone down to Florida, and he kind of got on one of the last flights into Key West before they shut it down back in March, and he stayed with his parents until May, and then they all drove up together back to Marblehead. That was an experience, and he was very protective of them while they were down there, and he was also scooping up as much antibacterial wipes and paper towels and toilet paper as he could there to bring up in that initial craziness that was happening. But they made it back up perfectly fine. They did not get sick at all, and we really have been very, very serious about it. We wash our hands every single time we come back into the house. I mean, if I go out and put the garbage out and come back in, wash my hands. If I go out to the car and come back in, I wash my hands. We are wearing face masks all the time. Massachusetts has been amazingly responsive to the pandemic. We are required across the state to wear a mask in any store that you go into. So it just is a normal thing. Here, you go into CVS, you have to have a mask on. You go into the grocery store, you have to have a mask on. It doesn't matter where you go, you need to wear a mask. And you're required to wear a mask outside if you cannot be more than 6 feet from people. That's a little more frustrating. I do a lot of walking. I try to get out in the early morning and take a walk first, and I'll have pictures of the sunrises in the harbor here at the end. That's a little bit more frustrating because you do see people at that time and out walking that don't wear a mask. And I will wear the mask, and I'll put it down around my chin if I'm not around anyone, but There are people that just don't wear them, or they wear them around their arm. Doesn't do a lot of good when it's around your arm, not around your neck. And it kind of seems to fall into categories. If you are walking and drinking, having a cup of coffee, you don't have to wear a mask when you pass someone. If you are out walking your dog, you don't have to wear a mask, even if you're passing someone. So there have been, if you're out and you're on your phone, you don't need to wear a mask when you're walking past someone. So that tends to get a bit frustrating to see that, but it is what it is. Here, at least we are required to wear them in stores, and we really don't go anywhere. I mean, I go out for walks, and I go to the little grocery store down the street here, and I go to CVS if I need something, and that's really it. We've done takeout, so I have gone into some restaurants to do takeout. The restaurants are coming a little bit back online. They've been outdoors only for the summer, and now they're beginning to be allowed to do some more indoor. But I really have no, Mark and I were just talking about this yesterday. I just have no desire. I mean, I miss it. I certainly miss it. But I have no desire to eat inside a restaurant right now. I can do takeout, and you have to time that because sometimes it's crowded in the restaurants, even if you're getting takeout. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. It's like, not continuing to work on a project maybe that isn't bringing you joy. I would get no joy of spending money sitting in a restaurant. Unfortunately, I would just feel like I was just being exposed to the virus. So, that's me, that's our family, that's the decisions that we've made, and I think we're going to just continue that as time goes on. The decision was made for us to work virtually, and so I've been home since March. I had to go in one day. They were going to use some of our office space in the back to open it up for faculty members that needed to be on campus that perhaps had been sharing office space. So we each had to go in one day and clean up our personal items in our spaces. So I did that. So that's the only time that I've been in Boston. And when I went in, I drove in. I literally saw no one on campus. I was the only person. I saw no one in the parking lot. I saw no one in my building. I saw no one in my office at all. So it was very eerie. But I got it done, and I had no exposure to anyone. They have partial openings now of offices, where every 5 weeks we're one of the offices that has to cover, but that just means one person has to go in. We have 3 younger staff members who actually live in Boston, so they've actually gone and done that coverage and are scheduled to do the coverage for the rest of the semester. So I will not have to go in to do that, but I think Wentworth is doing a very good job. They're doing testing weekly. You have to get tested and have a negative test in order to come on campus. There's an app that we have to complete if we're going to be on campus. And they're trying to monitor students as much as possible. Many students didn't come back. You had a choice. You could do virtual or you could do a combination. So there are students on campus, but there are many dorm rooms that are empty, and they've made the decision to keep them separated. So there are no triples or quadruples or quads. They're just doubles and singles on campus for right now. There hasn't been any decision made yet for spring semester starting in January, so we'll see what happens then. I don't anticipate that we're going to go back any more than we have been, again, simply because we don't have a vaccine, and we're not going to have a vaccine until later, sometime next year. So I don't anticipate going back for the rest of this this academic year. And I have, we were lucky enough that our office was working one day a week at home anyway. We ran a round robin. There was one person at home each week. So we really already had the technological tools to do it, and we just had to expand on that a bit. I have found it to be difficult. And that really is some of the reason why I haven't podcast. I just haven't had the bandwidth to think about it and do all the setup and get it done, and I have missed it. But really, I have had to have really all my energy onto my staff. I directly supervise 2 people, and then I help manage 2 other people. So I am always dealing not only with the things that I have to do, but I'm also dealing with the projects that they're doing. And of course, each of those projects has been made more difficult because they're virtual now. So we really are definitely running into some some new and innovative things that need to be done, and that really has been where my energy has been and has needed to be. The other thing that happened this summer is that my mother-in-law had an accident on her bike, and she very severely cut both of the backs of her calves, and she has had to go to the wound care center. She's much better now, and I think they're almost healed now, but she had really bad. She has very, 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 very thin skin, so, if you blow on it and it opens up. So they had a really hard time in getting the skin to actually grow back and heal. And it happened. She's 87, so I mean, it's not surprising that happens. Sometimes people get very, very thin skin when they get older. So that has been really difficult. So that's part of the reason that I've been over there. And so then I can help them out and help her out when she needs help. She's much better now. She's much more recovered now. So she actually is in a really good space. But I had to help to change some of her dressings and kind of just be there for moral support. So that also has taken up some bandwidth for me over the last few months. We certainly did not know what was going to happen with Sophia's job because she works in the travel industry. And she actually has still been working, which is really amazing to me. They have been postponing trips and setting them up again for next year. So she actually has work to do. So we'll see how long that goes for. But right now she is still working, which is really an amazing thing, and we are very grateful. Very, very grateful for that. And we had to our trip to Egypt, which was supposed to happen in July, obviously didn't happen this year, and we're rescheduled to go next July, so we'll see how that goes. But that was also a big, I think that was a big disappointment, certainly for both of us, because we right around that time we were like, oh, we would have been flying to Egypt right now, we would have been here, we would have been there. So it's difficult. We really, Mark and I usually go to the Cape in September on vacation, and I took vacation, but we didn't go anywhere. We ended up doing a lot of work on the house. And then the other thing that's happened this summer is that we had to have the house repainted. It was just time. It had already been pre-scheduled. So we had the whole house repainted. And once they got around to the front of the house to do it, and we were afraid of this, some of the boards at the top were just too rotted out to redo. So we had to have those replaced. I probably still have some pictures I can put in here about that too. So that was a little bit of crazy. And we also had pre-planned to have, I think we had 4 windows replaced on the house as well. A very, very old house, and it hasn't, the windows, they're probably still from the 50s, and we're not in a position to have them all replaced, but we had the worst of them replaced. So we're still kind of in the process of getting those painted and finished off. And we are getting new storm windows for the house, and those have just finally come in, and the painters are coming in to paint the outside of the windows, and then the storm windows will be put on. So we've had a lot of things going on in the house as well, which have taken up some bandwidth. So there's been quite a bit going on. What else can I tell you about? You remember last summer, a summer ago, when we had the movie people here in Marblehead, and I would come on and say, oh my gosh, they're here again, and they were here for quite a while, and that was to make the movie Hubie Halloween, and that was great fun, but it's out on Netflix now. It just came out this week. So I'll put a link to it here in the show notes as well. But it just came out, so that was a lot of fun. Adam Sandler, his movies are not the great. Do not expect anything great, but some of his movies are really bad, and I would say this one falls in the middle. It's actually kind of cute, and it has a really nice message at the end. There's a lot of really stupid jokes in the midst of it, and it's not, it's not something I would put on my, I gotta watch this every year list, but it was really fun because they had so much from Marblehead there. And we remember some of the things, we remember the days. I'm like, I think that's the day we were watching them. Them film, but it's really fun to see Marblehead all dressed up for Halloween, and just brought back memories of what that was like to have Halloween in July and August last year. And the top, when they do drone shots over what it's supposed to be Salem, Mass, but it's not. And so they do the drone shots over, and you see the big clock tower, and that's Marblehead. That's Abbott Hall. That's the big clock tower in town. And any of the outdoor downtown areas is Marblehead, right up the street here. And any of the street, they chose a house. A friend of my mother-in-law's was his house, was Huey's house. So they filmed in her kitchen. And Joan thinks that just cracked her up because she's been in there many a time. But so that was fun. That's been out. We also have watched a couple of different shows. We watched The Umbrella Factory. That's also on Netflix, and that is the second season came out. It was really great. It's really interesting, fun show to watch. And the last season of Money Heist came out. Again, that's a Spanish show, and it's about a heist. It's about a bank heist, and there's a lot of violence in it, but it's just fun. I think there's 3 seasons of it, and it's just one of those shows when you get into it, you're like, this is great. I gotta keep watching it. And then we're in the process right now of watching Borgen, which is, I want to say it's Denmark, and it's about a female prime minister in Denmark, and that's really super interesting as well. The other thing that just got reminded to me, totally forgot about it. I thought I had written it down, but I did not. And we got a new cat. And I won't be able to show her to you, but you've seen pictures on Instagram. I'll put a couple pictures up here. So if you remember, we had to put our other cat down several months ago because she ended up having, she had really bad cancer underneath her tongue that we did not know about until she went in to get some teeth removed. And so we did have to put her down. There was nothing that could be done for that. So, but she was probably, I want to say she was 12 or 13, so she had a really good long life. And so Sophia wanted to get another cat. And our only request was just not to get a long-haired cat this time. Just because our other cat was beautiful, but she had long white hair and she had so many mats, and just dealing with that was kind of, that was it's what you have when you have really long-haired cats, so you have to deal with it. But we got a really cute little kitten, and we got it from the animal shelter in Salem, which is a great place. Sophia did a lot of research. I give her a lot of credit. She really did a lot of research about it beforehand. And this cat was a kitten that the mother gave birth to the litter actually in the shelter. So they had her since birth. And she's just the cutest little, or she was the cutest little tuxedo cat. So she's all black except she has the white, the white underbelly. She's looking at me right now. She is, she's a little bit skittish. She's very, very curious. She's very, very curious. And she's just like, Sophia is her person. Sophia is her mother. Sophia is her person. She'll climb all over Sophia, get all over. She came in, she was tiny, and then now she's much bigger. I'm like, oh, she's not a year old yet. She won't be a year until November, so we probably have a little more growing to do. So I'm like, whoa, she's getting to be a big cat. But she is great. She learned how to go up and down the stairs in about 2 days. She fell a couple of times, and then she figured it out. She is so curious. And probably any cat is really curious when they're little. I'm just used to having our older cat just kind of just sitting there looking at you going, what are you doing? What do you got for me today? And this cat is just like everywhere. If you go someplace, she's right there. But she's not sitting on my poor husband's lap. So that was, our other cat just kind of like, just followed my husband. Like he couldn't turn around, and she wasn't there. And every time he sat down, she wanted to get in his lap. And I, don't blame her now that we know she was so sick. So it just gave her some comfort. But it was a lot for him because he was just like, oh my God, every time I sit down, this cat, has to get on my lap. So this one doesn't do that, except with Sophia. She does it with Sophia, but she doesn't do it with Mark or myself, which is fine. That's really great. Sophia has also, right from the start, has her food and her litter upstairs on the 3rd floor, and she only gets hard food, and which is great, her own food. So we've never given her any treats or anything, so she doesn't know anything about human food, so she's not looking for food from us when we're downstairs. She doesn't eat downstairs. She never gets it, so she doesn't know. So that really has made a big difference, I think, too, for us in dealing with the cat. And she plays fetch, like literally plays fetch. So she is a magpie. She loves bottle caps. So Mark drinks a lot of bottled water. And so we have like hundreds of bottle caps. And so, throwing a bottle cap to her is like it's like the greatest thing ever. She will pick up the bottle cap and bring it to you and drop it in front of you and ask you to throw it, and she'll bring it back to you, so you throw it again, bring it back to you, throw it again. She does it on our bed. She'll come up on the bed at night when we're in bed, and she'll like have a bottle cap in her mouth and go, bloop, here you go, would you throw that for me? And I have to throw it, she brings it back. So she's just been super, super cute, and she doesn't make a lot of noise, so which is also good. She's not a big meower. But she's very, very curious and always wants to know what's going on. That's why she came in here and she looked around, and and then she's gone out. She's gone out again. But it's been really a lot of fun to have a young cat in the house, and it's been great for Sophia. She just has bonded with Sophia. So her room is all the way upstairs. So that's really where she lives, and she just kind of like the rest of the house is a place to explore. So she's very curious about everybody that comes in. There's been a lot, with the painting and the windows, and she's just very curious about what's going on. So that's good. She hasn't been scared. She's not scared of thunderstorms. We were just like amazed the first time because our other cat, and we didn't, we got her, our other cat we got, she probably was a year old already, so she probably had some trauma situations that we didn't know. But I mean, we knew that there was a thunderstorm coming because like an hour before, our other cat would be slunk into the floor. Like she would get as flat as she could, and she would just slink away and just be in terror of the thunder. I'm sure she could feel it before we could even hear it. But this cat's like, hey, what's going on? What's that noise? What's that? Is that rain against the window? This is really great. Let me get up in the window and see what's going on. So completely different experience, and it's been really that's been a real positive during this time. So it's been fun to watch her and interact with her, and that's been really nice. So I think that's about it. I hopefully will do some more of these as time goes on, we'll see what happens. We are in a really contentious period right now in the United States, as I'm sure everyone is aware. We are in the process of voting. Sophia voted already. Mark and I are going to vote this week. We have mail-in voting. So we have absentee voting. So we have our ballots, and we're just gonna fill them out and drop them off, so we don't have to vote actually on November 3rd, and then we'll just kind of wait and see what happens. We hope that we're hoping that the things will change and will calm down, but I anticipate that that election week is going to be very rough for this country, no matter what happens, and so we're kind of anticipating that. And hopefully after that, things can just calm down a little. That would be really, really good. Just focus on dealing with the virus and making sure everyone stays healthy and getting a vaccine ready for it, so we can kind of go back to normal as much as possible. So that's what I've been doing. That's what's on my mind recently, and those are the projects that I've been working on, and I hope your projects have been helping you through this crazy time as well. This would have been Rhinebeck weekend as well. So I wasn't going to go this year, as I had a conference that was scheduled for that time, but hopefully Rhinebeck will be ready next year, and we'll definitely be going. We'll be going next year. So I think that's all I have today. So remember, it's just knitting.